This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Iced tea.
The lovely and talented Iced Tea.
Lovely and talented. 45 takes to say the word yes.
Okay, well, I didn't say that. Ice, it was her.
Yeah,
her.
There's bomb number 3. The rap contingency is going to get me next time I go to the VH1 Awards. Oh.
Iced tea on the...
I remember how many takes that took.
That took a long time.
That took about 30 takes right there.
He's got sunglasses on in the...
He had sunglasses through the whole movie.
I don't know why. It's sunny out.
A lot of people do that. It's cool.
It's the Roy Orbison thing.
Yeah. He was blind, wasn't he?
No, he was not.
I'm kidding.
Of course,
All
right. Now there's Ice. And he's,
I'm about to say my speech. Look at everyone just standing perfectly still.
These are extras.
Everyone freeze.
Oh,
she got it.
Now, he's been shot with mace so many times that it really doesn't affect him that much.
Yeah, Iced Tea can just brush that stuff off like it's water.
Which is what it is.
Nice blood on the back of the wall.
I was just going to mention the fact that the blood on the back of the wall adds a nice touch to the scene.
That was actually from the beef bourguignon they served the passengers earlier.
Exactly.
That has nothing to do with this scene.
Has nothing to do with this scene. Okay, now here comes the tomahawk. I guess it's a tomahawk or a hatchet. What is it? It's a cleaver, actually.
Oh, goodness, he's not going to.
Oh, Ice gets it.
My God, what a wonderful way to kill him.
Wrapping's over.
Look, you could see the chunky padding on his arm where the scrib exploded. That's really tacky. I hate that.
Don't worry about it.
I hate
Don't
that.
worry about
I'm depressed about that.
Thank you. It's Claudia Christian, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's Covey Coughlin from now on.
Covey Coughlin, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, and this fine
fine
Claudia
film.
Christian. Let's give a big hand to Claudia Christian.
Much.
She will be here all week.
Fourth billing.
Fourth billing.
Deserved.
Top. Billing.
Let me just say for the record, if I ever do another film with you,
top billing.
Not only top billing, but huge, copious amounts of money.
Huge
and trailers and
top billing. I let you go to see for your birthday that day. Remember that day?
Yes, you did.
I let you out
on my own birthday.
I let you out on your birthday early.
Soul. I worked for $1.99 in this film.
I let you out. You said, "Please, can I go early?" I said, "Okay, Claudia, go."
I'll find another chest to stand in for you.
Exactly, and I did. We had a stunt chest that day.
Hey, Cindy Lou Branham.
These people,
Paul Janassi.
These are all fine,
Loader.
Talented.
He was the guy supplying the drugs.
He gave me the booze every day.
I knew there was stuff loaded. Little whiskey bottle.
So anyway, this was Claudia Christian and Jay Andrews, a.k.a. Jim Wynorski.
Jim Wynorski.
Jim Wynorski. I have to admit it.
Lie.
I can't lie. I cannot tell a lie. That was me. And
that is you.
That was me. And it's a fine final voyage DVD commentary. We'll be back to ruin other people's films in the near future. Look for us on other non-Claudia and Jim DVDs. We'll really tear them apart.
Hello all. So once again, for another fun podcast that examines all elements of pop culture, and we just love basically going into stuff you might have seen, you didn't know exactly what it was, and whether it was any good or not. And lo and behold, I decided, hey, let's start doing more actor specials where we take a theme, take a bunch of similar movies that you got typecast into doing and see if any of them were any kind of entertainment, and then just break it down. So here we are. Lo and behold, I decided, hey, let's do a fun rappers special, and then let's talk about some of them in various movies that they were either good at or actually stole the show in. So, lo and behold, let's get into it with the beloved rapper and rock star turned producer and actor Ice-T. That's right. Again, like him or don't like him, he's very reasonably charismatic and respectable compared to so many others who have just continually not taken any acting lessons or tried to stand out in any way. And I had fun revisiting some of these movies. They're not always widely available on streaming, but some of them are absolutely on Tubi and for free on YouTube, and that's probably the best way to watch it. Most of them, not all, but most of them are by very lowbrow producers, former Roger Corman affiliates, Fred Olen Ray and Jim Wynorski. And as anyone who knows about those guys, they like to do creature features, they like to do Cinemax crap, they like to do kids comedies, they love to do all kinds of stuff. And when they did a lot of these disaster movies, they would often find people at Universal who would give them footage they could use for way on the cheap. And of course, they eventually got in trouble, so couldn't do it. A lot of these movies popped up on the movie channels, Showtime and HBO, as well as cable TV like FX and USA Network. I'm not going to get into all the particulars because then we'll take up way too much time, but it's where I saw a good chunk of these. And so I'm going to get into it with the first one. It is the 1999 movie. Others claim it's 98, but I'm pretty sure from the commentary track of the director on another movie I heard, it was actually from 99, and that is Judgment Day. This is easily the most recognizable. I kid you not. One time I was at one of my jobs and we had the TV on, and I had two coworkers light up saying, "Oh my God, I've seen this movie. I don't know where, but I've seen it a while back. It's a good movie." It's the same kind of deal here. I've encountered a bunch of other people. It's better known because Ice-T's New Jack City co-star and director Mario Van Peebles is in this one. He did not direct it like often believed, but he still works a lot with actor turned director John Terlesky on a bunch of other stuff. And it's just very simple. Like, it's a total 48 hours Die Hard type movie. It was often known as the third film involving an asteroid coming out in the 90s and post Armageddon and Deep Impact. Now, that's just to share the marketing, but the movie itself couldn't be any separate. It doesn't have too much overdone stock footage. It's the reason Terlesky's been a prolific TV and B-movie director is just because he's just so good at just getting the emotion needed. Fred Olen Ray did an uncredited write of the script, but fortunately Terlesky elevates this just because he gets the characters down. And again, you look forward to what's going to happen. And it's fun seeing a bunch of semi-known actors. In fact, I had no idea, but Mario Van Peebles actually snuck in his sons as members of his terrorist cult. So that's also what sets it apart. It's just fun seeing these religious cult leaders and who are doing what many madmen will do, where they're like, "Oh, we've devised a way to stop the giant meteor," and they end up kidnapping a scientist played by, that's right, Lyndon Ashby, Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. And he's better known nowadays for being the sheriff on Teen Wolf, and again, another reliable B-movie actor who not always strong, but very reasonable and charming. Doesn't have much to do, but it's definitely one of his best roles by far. Trust me on that. And I dug how there was a federal marshal, and it was played by Susie Amos. She is now since retired. She's Miss James Cameron, but you've seen her in movies like The Ballad of Little Joe, Fandango, as well as The Usual Suspects, and very reliable here. So let's get to the main deal, reason you're here, and that is Ice-T's Matthew Rhys. he's very interesting, just being a prisoner with a big rap sheet, some murders, not proud of it, but also not very apologetic. And so it's the usual, you get your freedom if you save the world. Pretty easy to buy into. And I think the reason, again, this movie just works so well is it doesn't take its time. It's constantly exciting. It's, again, way bigger than it actually is. Like, it's like many of these movies, and it premiered on HBO first and distributed by Sintel Films, which has done a lot of those films as well as Sci-Fi Channel stuff. And yeah, it's just we instantly know Ice-T is going to be a likable anti-hero and that they use him well. He gets some fun fight scenes, taking out different gangsters and criminal informants who he knows they know someone else who knows the main terrorist slash cult leader, Thomas Paine. And Mario Van Peebles is having a good time. He'll instantly make you wish that he had been in more mainstream action films, but for what this is, like, this is an absolute Hans Gruber and Die Hard level performance. We get a Coolio cameo. He gets to play one of the gangsters, and he's not as over the top playing himself as he is often. And there's some other good actors playing the different colonels and military guys who are panicking. We got Max Gale from Barney Miller as the main general. We got James Eckhouse, who's been all of the Aaron Spelling shows, been in other movies like Big and Trading Places. And then we get Larry Poindexter, who, again, another TV movie actor who you've seen in movies like SWAT, and he's done a lot of theater. Was briefly on JAG, and since then he's been in a lot of these TV movies, especially the Fred Olen Ray and Wynorski ones. Plenty of recognizable stunt performers, not Ali Young level, but plenty of other ones. And Terleski even gets to cameo as one of the shooters. And yeah, it goes by real fast, and the buddy camaraderie serves the story without just being an excuse to have a cheap laugh or lame action scene. There's plenty of other obstacles put in the way, and it's just so much fun. You forget about the whole they only got 3 days to rescue the scientists. And each time I watch it, I actually forget how it ends, but that's just because there's so many layers to it. It's not because it's boring or dull or unimaginative. Very thrilling. It's definitely going to be fun for both action fanatics as well as indie B movie lovers. So can't praise its glory enough. Also, while it technically has been argued by some sides that it might have come out first or second, I'm placing it third because, strictly told, it really doesn't belong anywhere on this list. But let's talk about Stealth Fighter. So, this is where, again, Jim Wynorski works with Ice-T. It's basically every other Broken Arrow knockoff. There was a similar movie with Dolph Lundgren that was by Hellraiser 3 director Anthony Hickox, and he made a few different movies with him, and it was called Stormcatcher. Same kind of deal. Wynorski works on both these. Andrew Steven produced movies. Comes out by Sintel Films. They're really nothing remarkable. They're really D-list movies because everybody's very flat in them. They're on Cinemax, but really the only highlight is seeing Ernie Hudson play the president who orders this plane recovered or shut down. Costas Mandalore is okay, but he just doesn't have that igniting kind of feel you get from other B-listers who want to do better. But, it's just one of those where I'm like, did Wynorski just want to get this done but not make it entertaining? So it works in a so bad it's good trashy way, but it's nothing more. It's also kind of disappointing with all the starlets he's having in here, and with a cameo by William Sadler as the Admiral, he doesn't utilize it more. It's like, these starlets, why don't they show some skin? And if Sadler's here, why doesn't he get to do something more interesting instead of just say his lines on time? Also, what's interesting is the cartel guy who Ice-T's rogue pilot still played for it was none other than Andrew Devoth, the Wishmaster Tour Soldiers actor, and he's no stranger to B movies. But I find it even interesting how they reunited on an episode of SVU, and Ice-T got to arrest him. Erica Liniak is also in this, and once again, given less to do, there's decent action. So really, again, unless you are a B movie completist, you don't have to see it. But Ice-T looks so bored. I get that he was trying to be serious, but also everyone comes across as pretty flat, save for Ernie and Sadler, who are always 100%. But it is what it is. The best part about this is how they use stock footage from 1998 Godzilla, as well as Red October, for all the submarines that the stealth plane blows up. And apparently they got in some legal trouble, even though they were blooper outtakes and technically not the exact same footage, because it just shows you again the budget of the movie. And it's just interesting how they made movies at this time. And now we got Final Voyage. Now, this is definitely one of Wynorski's way more watchable movies. It's often known as one of the other Die Hard on a cruise ship type movies. That's not Speed 2 or that one Casper Van Dien bad movie. And so, yeah, another one. It premiered on either HBO or Cinemax, and it was apparently even released theatrically in Malaysia. It's reasonable, especially if you're a disaster movie completist, and it looks way bigger than most of Wynorski's other films. Again, trust me, he falls into so many categories. He falls into decent, he falls into trashy fun, he falls into so bad it's good. You know, dude's a B movie D-lister guy for a reason. He loves recycling footage. In this case, there's some footage from Deep Rising. It's not too intrusive, and he often hires the Worst brothers to do his scores. And no, it's not for the worst. They're actually pretty good. But yeah, in this case, you got Claudia Christian from Babylon 5 and The Hidden Fame as a henchwoman, and you got Ice-T as the main terrorist leader. And so basically, they're a bunch of just gang of 8 pirates during the Chinese New Year deciding to rob a luxury cruise. We got Dylan Walsh. This is before he was on Nip Tuck, and he's now on Superman and Lois, but was on some other cop shows. I personally thought he was really good on Longmire, and he's, always, again, started off as a B movie guy, started off in some theatrical stuff like Betsy's Wedding and Congo, and then, lo and behold, became a TV direct-to-video movie guy regular. You've seen him in other stuff like The Lake House and Weaver Soldiers, but I think he works well here because he just has to be charming in between doing some fight scenes and some other reasonable B-movie talents. Yeah, Andrew Stevens, who's best known as producing a lot of these films, wrote the storyline. Again, nothing great. In fact, it was so questionable at first. I remember I used to have the DVD and I would watch the commentary track, and that was definitely one of the first ones I saw with Wynorski. And it was fun because Claudia Christian was also on there. And that's the other reason Wynorski's a cult legend. He loves mocking himself. Like, I got this shot out of focus, or guess what movie I stole this footage from. Call him a hack, call him a terrible filmmaker, call him a amusing 10-year-old in a 70-year-old's body, call him whatever. But he does really seem to be having a blast here, and there's some solid camera work to make it bigger than it actually is. It's the usual. The captain and cruise director are taken hostage. The hijackers want to find 130 million that's stored on here. It's fun having the main action hero be a celebrity bodyguard, and there's plenty of usage of C4 and a girl fight. And Erica Liniak is also in this, and out of all the bad movies she's been in, this would probably be as close as you're going to get to a Under Siege level performance. So hit it up. If you don't like it, turn on the commentary. If you're just not a Wynorski guy in general, then don't bother at all. But decent trash. Trashy fun indeed. So let's go on to the next one, which is Sonic Impact. I'm loving how more lowbrow these sound. And this is by another reliable B-movie guy who worked for a lot of the Andrew Stevens Wynorski productions. And I believe it also premiered on one of the movie channels. And it's pretty simple. FBI agents James Russo, who you might recognize from Beverly Hills Cop, and Ice-T have to transport a prisoner who's also a master criminal. His gang tries to, pry him from the airliner. And it works better than a lot of these other movies. It really had, Wynorski was just a producer, but that was basically just in getting some of the stock footage. But it's better incorporated here. You get to see Mel Harris from 30-something and a bunch of other TV work, including movies like K9 and shows like Stargate SG-1. Be one of the airline pilots. J. Kenneth Campbell, who's another go-to guy who's, again, done his share of B movies and straight-to-video stuff. You've seen him in other stuff like the Operation Delta Force movies, Collateral Damage with Schwarzenegger, Blue Streak, Fort Worth with Warren Beatty, and the upcoming indie film, The Only Good Indian, and as well as Uli's Gold. So he's doing what he usually does, playing an authority figure, and it's good like usual. And so that's what's also fun, is just seeing these actors who have no business being here, but they were just doing a decent indie film on the side. So this is solid. It's not remarkable, but it gets the job done. You got Michael Harris, who's been a go-to bad guy in a lot of B movies. You have some other, even Dean Norris from Breaking Bad gets to play one of the agents. He gets knocked out and then later killed, I believe. And so you're going to be disappointed if you expect the leads, Russo and Ice-T, to be in every frame. They are not. But if you're a disaster movie completist, this definitely is the best standalone movies, and these guys are just featured guest stars, basically. And it goes by pretty fast. As a B-movie completist, I have a ton of fun. Now we get to Air Rage. Now, again, so this one definitely don't recommend unless you are a Fred Olen Ray completist. If you've seen all his trashy, wacky movies, and I'm talking everything from Critical Mass to Bikini Airways to Hatfields and McCoys to all the other wacky crap he's done. And so, yeah, this is on the level of some of the other Don the Dragon Wilson stuff, Dinosaur Island, as well as Fugitive Rage. So with that in mind, that's probably what you're going to get the most out of this. It's his typical trashy stuff he's doing. You have freaking Buck Rogers himself, Jill Gerard in here, Alex Cord, who's known for Airwolf. And this is basically around the time when Wynorski and Olen Ray are just, flinging out disaster movies by the dozen that are airing on Showtime and HBO. And that's just it. Like, they're almost always using footage from 70s disaster movies that don't match up. If you're a airport expert, I didn't care because it wasn't taking itself that seriously. Jack McGee, who you'll know from movies and shows like Rescue Me and Backdraft. That's another neat young supporting actor find. I remember him as the desk sergeant on NYPD Blue. So we had Glenn Turman, who you'll know as the Crooked Mayor on The Wire. He's since done all kinds of other movies and shows, including Cooley High, Different World, Suits, bunch of theater, the hostage school drama, Light It Up. another guy I just instantly recognized. And we got Steven Hyder, who's known as Kenny on Seinfeld. The main second build guy is Cyril O'Reilly, who's gets to play the Colonel. He's been in everything since Airplane. He was Tim in the Porky's movies. He's been another reliable B movie actor, including being in Black Dog with Patrick Swayze. And since been a regular on TV, and you look at his credits and you'll find a bunch of everything. It's just a very freaky X-Files episode, all kinds of other short-lived TV shows, as well as, you know, just other stuff that everyone was doing. Multiple Murder, She Wrote appearances, as well as just other TV movies. So really stacked character actor cast here, not as well known. And once again, the Worst brothers are scoring this. So this is another one that's somewhat misleading. It's at 20,000 feet. Basically, it's a war criminal on trial, and that's what Cyril plays. He plays the colonel. And basically, it's just another just people, bad people being transported. They take over the plane, and then in a total executive decision, The Rock style tribute, a plane docks with another plane, and they find a way to, get a bunch of Marines, Delta Force type guys on to take them out. And this was interesting because Mark Hicks, who's best known for being one of the detectives in Terminator 3 and who's made a career doubling actors like Will Smith, has slowly got into acting, and this was one of his first credits, being one of the Marine guys. So yeah, Ice-T's in this as the main military guy, Matt Marshall, and he does pretty good, just saving all the flight attendants and all that. And again, goes by fast. There's even voice actors like Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, best known for the Silent Hill and Cowboy Bebop fame, in here. And rapper WC from the Mod Circle and Low Profile is also here. So it's just interesting what they use and for this production. Again, go in if you're a disaster movie completist, good or bad, have fun. And once again, don't expect Ice-T to be the main star. He's just a guest star. But he has definitely way more to do because he's actually shooting the bad guys and getting to boss people around, which makes you wish he could have been in more bigger budget productions, leading people around instead of just the usual SWAT teams on SVU every week. And then we got probably my second favorite on this list, and that is Ticker. And yes, this is often known for being a movie that features but does not star Steven Seagal. It started off as a Canon Films production that was going to star Chuck Norris, then it was given to Albert Pion, who, rest in peace, was best known for doing all kinds of bizarre, imaginative, yet just flat out weird, apocalyptic, sci-fi kind of movies, like in fantasy adventures, everything from the Cyborg and Nemesis films to Kickboxer 2 and 4 to The Sword and the Sorcerer. And again, this was one of the first I saw by him because it was often on USA Network a lot, and it had Jamie Presley from My Name is Earl as a hostage. The main bad guy, Dennis Hopper, was playing an IRA agent, and basically it was an excuse. Unconvincing accent aside, again, he was about to guest star on the TV show 24, and this is basically another Speed type bad guy role for him, and he's having a blast. And Tom Sizemore is up to the challenge as being the main detective. You got Joe Spano from NCIS as one of the superiors. You got Romany Malco, that's right, before the 40-year-old virgin as one of the techs. You got Kevin Gage from Heat as one of the bad guys they arrest. And you got Peter Green, that's right, the Gimp himself from Pulp Fiction, as a good guy role for once, as a detective. Where the hell does Ice-T come into all this? He's basically the main commanding terrorist setting up all the bombs at the very end. And you have a stunt double who looks like him, but you can tell Ice-T was not in the room. So he gets dispatched by the bad guys at the end, supposedly, but you can tell he was just filmed for just one day. He had appeared in some Albert Pion productions before, so it's not surprising that he helped a friend out. So the main reason this gets a bad rep is because Nas, that's right, the rapper, he was good in Belly, but not up to the task here. But that being said, I've seen much worse. And if you're a B-movie guy, you're going to have fun with this. I especially have fun with this because I am not a Seagal fan at all. And he fortunately gets to behave and just be second build. He's just basically the bomb expert. Doesn't do much of his so-called New Jersey accent or Tibetan, lifestyle like he usually does. And despite taking some, it was produced by New Image Films, the company behind, the Expendables and Olympus Has Fallen and a bunch of other B-movie martial arts franchises, many of them from the Canon Films department, and definitely one of their better productions. They wisely take a SWAT team ambush raid from a Jeff Speakman film from the 90s, and I didn't mind it there because it for the most part fits with the rest of the movie. It's well edited and inserted, and they don't do what so many movies that take stock footage make the mistake of doing, and that is just go on with nothing to pad out the movie. And so despite some semi-convincing, and by that I mean just very annoying green screen for some of the backdrops, and no one knowing if the budget was 600,000 or 7 million, it actually got a theatrical release in countries like Japan. And so there's even a member of TLC featured here as well. And it doesn't matter, man. It's just a fun movie. And it goes by real quick. It's fun seeing the terrorist bad guys get dispatched by Sizemore. So again, with its shortcomings, still reasonable B action movie outing. You'll find way more people who like it than who hate it. Have fun with it. But second best one here out of all these 8 movies we're doing. So I've kept you long, so let's breeze for these last 2. It is the second to last one would be Ablaze. Now this is another one which didn't care for at the time, but man, came around on it. Fun movie, really, really fun. Everybody is in this. Like, it is a go-to. American and Canadian actors. Apparently came out in Greece and then came out here to the States in 2002. Actually got a good rating from a wireless magazine, which is no more, calling it a firestorm of fury action. Scorching suspense. Yeah, this is a wild one. So this stars as the fire chief, John Bradley, who's best known for movies like Mars Attacks and Independence Day. Another go-to TV guy. And this is one of 2 movies that stars Michael Dudikoff. Now get this, he plays a guy named Gary Daniels. Totally a nod to the B-movie direct-to-video martial arts movie star. And in this, you got Amanda Pays of Max Headroom fame. It makes sense why she's doing here because Corbin Bernsen's worked on a bunch of these, and I think Wynorski does say somewhere is like, hey, I'm just going to let his brother and wife also be on some of these movies. So she's here, very solid. Gets to play the main doctor who's ex-girlfriend of the fire chief and helping. So the main deal is it's basically the whole premise of the 1979 disaster movie from Canada that was riffed on Mystery Science Theater, City on Fire. That stars Leslie Nielsen as a crooked politician, and Henry Fonda as the chief, among many others. Shelley Winters, and all kinds of people. And it stills, well, they had the rights to use this footage, but basically they reuse all that footage just of all the destruction and fire and basically have the same kind of plot. Not everything works with this, but I thought Steve Latshaw, out of all the B movies he's done for Olin Ray and Roger Corman and Dolph Lundgren, this is one of his better outings because he tried to have it all have a purpose and get tied up as best he could. I wasn't crazy about every direction he went with it, but for the most part, there's a solid electronic music score, and I was happy to follow the team of firefighters all around. So I think Tom Arnold did quite okay here. I know a lot of comedians are hit and miss. Sometimes they're good with playing versions of themselves or doing dramatic roles, and Tom Arnold always had it rough because after McHale's Navy, he just kind of didn't had to go back to doing very stupid stuff, and he was trying to ditch the Roseanne image at this point, and so he gets to play an oil refinery owner who's just being very sneaky, just trying to set stuff on fire, steal some data, and basically even try and steal documents and other stuff that he can profit off of. And so that is where the weakest part of this is. Fortunately, he's playing it very straight, and he's been in some other reasonable indie movies before. And I can't believe I'm saying this. He pulled it off pretty well. I get that he gets a bad rep because you just don't think of a serious person. But again, we're talking B movie territory. I'm trying to play by all the rules and make everyone happy here. So after the beginning of the film uses the opening car chase from the Bruce Willis movie Striking Distance, it later resorts to having all kinds of stock footage from Emergency. And I'm telling you, this is the sign of a good B movie. If you're going to take any footage, take it from the commonly, explosive 70s show Emergency. It would be a B movie made in heaven. Just take all the awesome footage you love using that no one's going to get mad that you stole from. It's not like I took all the best footage from Backdraft or Die Hard and clumsily inserted it into footage that's nowhere near on that same budget. So a lot of people say this is one of the best so bad it's good Irwin Allen type movies. They're basically right. It really is a fun movie. It's not a big highlight, but it got the job done. Even stars another voice actor in this collage. Yeah, one of the dispatchers is Robert Clotworthy, who's best known for being the narrator on Ancient Aliens for the History Channel and the main voice of Jim in the StarCraft video games. So in this one, Wynorski gets to use another common favorite, and that is Michael Cavanaugh, who's had recurring roles on 24, Tour of Duty, Monk, and became a pretty popular character on Star Trek The Next Generation as Captain DeSoto, who was only seen in one episode but mentioned in a bunch of others. He's since had guest star appearances on Lois and Clark, an early X-Files episode that's really neat, and after a while appeared on The Young and the Restless as the judge. And he's getting up there in age. He's in his 80s now, but he's another guy who used to work in the Navy, and then after appearing as a henchman in the Dirty Harry movie, The Enforcer, he just became a common B-movie guy who just starred in all these different blockbusters, like whether it was Iron Eagle or Gray Lady Down. And after appearing in those Clint Eastwood movies, he, commonly is used by Fred Olen Ray and Jim Wynorski, often appearing in these Roger Corman, Don the Dragon Wilson, and Michael Dudikoff productions. while occasionally doing some mainstream HBO movies and shows. I mean, he's the chairman in the Schwarzenegger movie Collateral Damage. Not a good movie, but that's the mainstream for you, as well as the HBO film Dancing in September. So back to this movie. He did good as the main chief of the medical unit. Carolyn Seymour, who was a British actress, was good as the corrupt manager of the hospital, who was also a doctor. Billy Zabka, that's right. Got to basically be uh, just the main just muscle, if you will, for Arnold's, you know, oil refinery goons. Was having a blast doing his usual 80s bad guy routine. Wynorski inserts a bunch of his other actors who you won't know, but unless you watch all of their junky movies, and so he used them pretty well here, as opposed to just being like, "Dude, get someone other than your friends to complete the movie." Eddie Albert, that's right, another TV star, musical tycoon. He's been in everything from Falcon Crest to The Greek Tycoon to Midway to Roger Corman's Galaxy of Terror to Power Rangers Time Force. He was well used here, not a highlight, but he didn't phone it in. If he did, he did very well as a crooked mayor who was in on this action. And there was Pat Harrington Jr., who got to play another one of the doctors, Kathy Lee Crosby, who was the co-host and former tennis player of That's Incredible. Got to be here as a former actress who assists the doctors. So that was a very meta role. So where the hell does Ice-T come in? He plays the main police officer, and he gets to work with some other guys, the fire chief often. And he gets to hold a gun and shoot a guy who can blow him up as he's setting arson. And that's when you know you're off to the races. The movie just starts off just really fast, makes use of all the stock footage without killing the mood and making you go, use your own. And that's how I grade these kinds of movies. I hate it when they would, as some of the lesser Wynorski and Olin Ray films would do, is just keep taking the finale of Cyberdyne from Terminator 2 and poorly inserting it. So here, they do a good job of just making the stock footage be fun. It's almost like a compilation. Take all the best action scenes from lesser or somewhat more expensive movies and put them in your own indie movie and use it well. So, again, I dug also just other members of the fire team staff. Richard Biggs, who was Dr. Franklin in Babylon 5, and Michael Trucco, who later, this is before he played Sam, Starbuck's husband on Battlestar Galactica. They're both in this, and they're very intense as the fire chief team, and they're in it to win it. They don't goof around. There was some other German actors in here, so very wild how they got all kinds of actors on this damn movie, but I didn't mind it at all. There was even one character actor, David Bowe, no relation, who's been in stuff like Heavyweights and A Few Good Men, and that was wild. So the best multicast out of this whole bunch of movies. So this would be third place. This is definitely the third best of the movies. I took a while to warm up to it, but I had fun rewatching this because all kinds of voice actors, and you look them up, and they've been in stuff like SpongeBob and what have you. Yeah, very solid use of everyone's time. So let's get to the last one. That is Black Horizon, also known as Stranded. I've seen it under both titles. Once again, Steve Latshaw writes, Fred Olen Ray directs, Enter Stevens directs. Latshaw had previously done some way lesser movies with the likes of Jeff Speakman, such as Scorpio 1 and Memorial Day. This is easily the best out of all of his satellite movies. Most people find these films, the this one in particular, very boring. I would always see parts of it coming on the HBO stations and always thought it was interesting how, again, just a bunch of American and Russian astronauts get stranded in space. So they do the typical kind of Star Trek kind of filming where they slightly make the camera shake to make it look like people are getting, you know, uh, going into asteroid fields and what have you. Again, the dialogue is pretty lame, and the shootouts are very, they didn't even try to make it believable. But this one is fun because the very beginning, they use the car chase, like capture and escape, and which ends in an inevitable car crash from the Wesley Snipes film, The Art of War. Again, Andrew Stevens produced those movies for his big, that's the thing. He would make all these direct-to-video and made-for-TV movies, and then use a lot of the same footage from his big budget blockbusters from his other companies. So that's the case here. Very reasonable movie. It gets a bad rep because, again, like, people wanted to see Michael Dudikoff do his American Ninja type kung fu, and he didn't do that here. Still, Ice-T was back in his usual mode, playing, basically, he's leading a bunch of narcs to apprehend some terrorists and computer hackers who are basically messing with these NASA satellites and depleting the astronauts of the limited amount of oxygen. Bunch of Russian actors in this who, if you look them up, they've been in everything from NCIS to Air Force One to The Equalizer with Denzel Washington. And they do their part. But again, everybody started somewhere, and they did just about every other made-for-TV direct-to-video movie, from Wishmaster 2 to all kinds of other military and die-hard knockoff movies. And this would be the fourth best. So yeah, again, we got Judgment Day, then we got Ticker, then we got Ablaze, and so this is easily the fourth best of the lot, and the rest are like it or hate it. So yeah, Stranded makes good use of its premise. It's just going to depend on your patience. I personally thought that Olin Reddy is usually lazy. This time, he at least had some suspenseful camera angles and made good use of his cinematographer, Gary Graver, who's best known for, I kid you not, working with Orson Welles. Look it up. Gary Graver and Orson Welles. So, out of all these, start of the millennium action sci-fi films, it's fun. It's just not, again, remarkable. It's just, again, for those who like cheesy disaster films, but it made good use of its length and went by real quick, which is what I asked for these kinds of junk food. The computer angle was well realized, and there was some other interesting just chasing around the city, and Ice-T got to stop the bad guys at their place, as well as save a witness, do some other action with his shotgun. So that was fun. If you're expecting more, you'll probably be disappointed. But again, I see a lot of these movies get roasted, and again, they are straight up B movies. That is all they are. That's all they pretend to be. The deal is to just try to make it bigger than it actually is, but also, this is what you had. So it might not have been ideal back then, but for those in the Tubi YouTube generation now, and who were curious to rent these back in the day, that might be the best place to start. So thank you for listening, if you made it this far, and hope I entertained your eardrums.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win Show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up